The reason that space imaging is so important to the human race is for a couple of reasons. One is if you really want to do Earth science and study the whole Earth, you can put things up in balloons or walk around with handheld instruments or fly them in planes, but you're only seeing a portion of the Earth. If you do a low Earth orbit or even a geosynchronous orbit, you can be looking at the whole Earth. So you get a whole synoptic view of what's happening on the Earth. The other reason that space imaging is so important is the Earth's atmosphere only transmits certain wavelengths of light. Fortunately, if all the ultraviolet came through, we'd all have skin cancer. But so you can only see certain wavelengths. You got radio wavelengths that get through and what's called the optical window of certain wavelengths of visible and infrared. If you want to look in the other wavelengths and understand what's going on, you really need to put something up in space. Well, for the last 34 years of my career, I've been managing people and projects. In the last 10 years, I was president of Teledyne Imaging Sensors. I'm real proud of what we got done. We've grown year over year for the last 7 years in revenue. And I had been working in ground-based astronomy, buying actual sensors from E2V. I was one of your bigger customers in the 1990s. And then I went to Rockwell Scientific, which became Teledyne Imaging Sensors, and I learned more about the infrared and what you need to qualify focal plane arrays for space and everything with space, and now I just love space. And the reason I really love working in space is you have all the leading scientists from around the world that are passionate about different subjects, and you get to work with all of them and learn their science. And I'm very happy to say that Teledyne focal plane arrays have never failed in space. The reason I like working in imaging is if you think of how we get information, even right now in this interview, you get some by sound, but you get most by visual looking. When you're out on the road, driving down the road, you're mainly getting imaging. You're looking through light. Almost all our observations of the Earth or of astronomy, of course, is with what's called remote sensing, looking at light from a distance. Since Teledyne makes the world's best detectors of light, both in the visible and the infrared, we're on the leading missions for remote sensing of light. And so we get exposed to the most exciting missions that are out there, and that's one reason I really love working here. I got to tell you the truth, I pretty much landed into it. When I was going off to college, I wasn't going to go into a technical field, and I got a little guidance, why don't you give it a try? And I just fell in love with physics, so my background's in physics. My graduate degree's in applied physics. The advice I'd give to anyone is when you're offered a job, especially even at the same company, they often offer 2 or 3 different positions to you. My advice would be always take the hardest job, the one that you're most nervous about what you can do. And the reason for that is you'll learn the most. And I've always done that in my career, is take the hardest job, work hard at it, do a good job, and more opportunities will come. As far as my favorite mission, it's hard to pick a favorite because I really love them all. What I like is we work with the most passionate scientists around the world. So some people are really concerned about climate change and greenhouse gases. So we work with people whose whole life mission is measuring methane and carbon dioxide. Other people want to save the Earth from getting knocked out by a killer asteroid. If we all worry about what dangers there are, the one real black swan event is an asteroid hits the Earth, and that could literally wipe out our species. There's other people I know that are really concerned with the evolution of the universe, dark matter, dark energy. So we're on the 2 different Teledyne business units are on the Euclid Dark Universe mission. That's CCDs from E2V Space Imaging, and also the infrared sensors from Teledyne Imaging Sensors. So that's a whole nother group. Probably the super highlight mission is James Webb Space Telescope. It's a $10 billion mission that is the most advanced space science facility ever made by humankind. And the discoveries being made are going to change how we look at the evolution of the universe. Well, the changes happening in space now are twofold. As far as the electro-optic missions that digital imaging would work on, the difference that's really happening now, instead of having one single satellite, there's fleets of satellites. In some cases, it's relatively simple. For instance, NASA runs a mission called Landsat to look at the Earth's surface and see how it's evolving with time and whether it's healthy. The new Landsat Next mission is going to fly 3 satellites instead of 1. That's not that much, but it is a difference. There's a geosynchronous satellite, the weather satellite called GOES. That still had 3 satellites in the present version. They are going with 3 new satellites, but so that's still the same number. But there's a number of other weather systems that are going to have more of scores of satellites, and that's going to give us better time coverage and better temporal coverage. And unfortunately, clouds block a lot of the wavelengths we want to look at, so with more satellites, you'll have more chances of having clear weather to see down to the Earth.